All right, how are you doing? This is Taylor Barton. We are here for our third annual Avery Strong College Showcase at UPS. Got a host of fine gentlemen and very knowledgeable football insiders. Got Frank Murdoch. Frank, how you doing, big dog?
Doing good. How you doing, TV?
Always good, always good. Looking forward to this event every year. We got Ryan Clary, the man behind the scenes that makes it all happen, that knows everything. He's like a mini Huff in waiting. Clary, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And then Huff, the aforementioned, the GOAT, the legend, the OG in the industry, national recruiting editor for 247 Sports. Huff, how are things going?
Ryan, aim for something higher than being the next me. Go do something suitable with your life. Don't be me. I'm not that. It's not that exciting.
That's how Huff's doing, people. At this time of year, once we get through the 7 on circuit, this is about like the mood set here. So it's kind of fun to have the showcase where we get rejuvenated and get back going, and then get ready for summer, and then the season. It'll be on us before we know it. So um, really excited though, all jokes aside. This event every year is really fun for us. Just so many talented kids that are attending this year from so many different areas. And when we look back the last couple of years at the roster and the list of kids that have competed in this, Clary, I know you had mentioned how many 5 stars were in this last year?
I want to say it was four by this point today. At
Yeah,
four 5 stars throughout different
yeah.
ranking systems.
So it's
I,
really
I
cool.
think like in just one of the edits I saw in like one session, we had 7 All-Americans that either played in the Polynesian Bowl, the Under Armour All-American Game, or the Navy All-American Bowl in just one session.
Yeah, it's really cool to see it. And of course, we balance it for everyone listening to this. It's really important when we do this event, we really focus on a couple things, is that we want to make sure that we have kids of every talent level that come to this, and that we have colleges of every level that come to this. So yes, we have the blue blood Power Four schools, all the way down to the mid majors, to the FCS, to D2, D3, NAI. That's important because if all you do is have those top Power Four schools, how many kids are really getting recruited by them? But if all you have is the D2, D3 NAI, now the kids with offers or trying to get an offer, it's not as appealing to them. So we really try and balance it. And the same of having kids here. So we have a bunch of kids, 5 star, 4 star, 3 star. And then we have a bunch of kids that have nothing that eventually will be those, or are trying to work their way into it. So it's fun for us to see. And we've seen many kids come through as 8th and 9th graders, get offers, get their first offer, and or jump on the scene. And then there's kids that are not on a lot of radars right now that are going to be a senior, that this event changes their life. They pop up and have a great day, get an offer, or get on list for colleges and end up getting recruited as a result. So a lot of lives are going to change this weekend. Always look forward to seeing it because it's a really cool thing. And we'll mention the cause to the name. Huff wearing the shirt right now. I've got mine under my hoodie and my arm sleeve from a fractured elbow, but that's another story. That'll be a fun story another time. That might be a separate podcast. So anyway, guys, let's hop into this. We've got a lot of kids and groups to mention. Let's just kind of go through this with the different sessions. Our format, we do session by position. So we've got an O-line, D-line session, and then they'll have a break, talk to the college coaches. Then we go running back, tight end, linebacker. They'll have a break, talk to colleges, and then we go quarterback, receiver, DB. So let's start with that first group. Always a loaded group. The big fellas in the trenches, O-line, D-line. I guess we'll start with you, Clary. Let you go through some and talk on some kids, and then actually, you know what? Let's do this. Huff, we'll start with you. You're the main man on this podcast, so let's let you go through some of these linemen that you've seen on the list that have signed up and registered. Some of the names that pop out to you, and some of the background on some of those kids, and then Ryan and Frank will go to you guys to fill in the rest.
Yeah, we've got a really good group of local recruits coming. We've got Jacoba Doyle, who is one of the top offensive linemen in the state in the 2027 class. We've got Also from the state, we got Opa Tafalele, who is a 2028, already has an offer from a Big Ten school on the offensive line. And then on the defensive line, we got Prim Fox, who is actually on an official visit to Boise State as we speak. He gets back Saturday, and then he's coming to the camp straight from his official visit to Boise State. He was at the camp last year. Also have Ty Totolo out of Lake Stevens, who I know is going to draw a lot of attention from the college coaches. Notre Dame was one of the schools that offered him on St. Patrick's Day, their Pot of Gold Day.
Yeah.
Got an offer from Washington. I know a lot of the schools that are coming have the intent to watch him. So from the defensive line, Robbie Lavatai, who we've seen a number of events this season on the 5-on-5 circuit out of Curtis High School. Those are some of the local kids. And then from a national standpoint, probably the biggest headliner is one of the MVPs from last year, Isan Tafa, out of Corner Canyon High School in Draper. He was the OL MVP at the underclass OL MVP. Then he played in the Polynesian Bowl this year. He was committed to Washington, but actually flipped his commitment to USC. So four-star offensive lineman, top offensive lineman in the state of Utah, and he's coming back for his second year. Also coming from Utah, our guy Shane Johnson, who we loved with the glasses, rocking the glasses, and just fooling people in Team OFA was part of their 5-on-5 championship team out in Boise. And then on the defensive line, another out-of-stater that I'm really excited to see, Benjamin Hanabayan out of Kailua in Hawaii. Loved him at the Under Armour camp last summer. Loved him at the Warriors for Youth showcases in Hawaii. He's making the trek. And then from the underclass, we got Kaikea Kai, who was at Mililani last year. Now he's going to Kapolei, played in the 2028 class. Already got an offer from Cal. So those are some of the guys that I'm excited to see. And then a guy that I know Frank and Ryan are really familiar with, who was originally from Washington, but he's now in Nevada.
Yeah, so that'd be Harris Arnautovic. He went to Mariner originally. Coaching changes and other stuff led him out to Vegas, but he'll be fun to see. I haven't seen him since an association tournament a couple years ago, actually, when he did 5-on-5. Some of the in-state kids that I'm excited to see would be Sam Davidson. He goes to Seattle Prep. He's 6'6", 260 D tackle. He's got a couple offers from Nevada, UNLV, and some others. A current eighth grader who actually already has an offer to start, Xavier Berry. I believe he'll be going to Cascade Christian. He's a big 6'6" tackle. And then another one I know coaches are excited to see is Sebastian Quiji. He goes to Juanita. He's got Idaho and Air Force.
There you go. Nice. Well, in Idaho, we mentioned, Thomas Ford taking the head job there and planning to come himself to this event and his entire staff and be in there recruiting. And for a school like Idaho, truly at this event, if you really think about this, they could come and get their entire recruiting class. It just out of this event with the amount of talent that's there and the type of players they're recruiting in all the different positions. And that's what's so great about this is that, Thomas is one of those guys that leaves no stone unturned. So he's going to be in there grinding, watching, evaluating. He's going to see the obvious guys that they've offered or that everyone's offered, but he's also going to find those guys that no one else is really seeing like he is. He just has that lens. So I'm excited to watch him in that new role as the head man come through and decide who he wants to make moves on and put the offers out. Because inevitably we see this every year. A ton of offers go out on the spot at this event, and then a ton of offers go out, kind of the ripple effect, a couple days later, a couple weeks later, after schools have seen these guys. And we all know we're in messages. These schools right now are hitting us up asking us for list of the kids that are signed up. So the staffs are going through the list, going through these kids, talking it over, deciding, maybe going and watching film of a kid they see and saying, okay, when we see him, if he does this, if he checks these boxes, are we going to offer him? Or, hey, who are we focused on to really evaluate these five guys at this position? Let's see who we like best and decide to go on them. So that's what's fun about this event too, is seeing the strategy with these colleges.
To kind of, piggyback off that, TB, we've got a number of head coaches coming. And I was already talking to one school that their head coach is coming specifically to watch a quarterback throw that could end up being a part of their class. And, it's one thing to send a coordinator, with all due respect to those coordinators. It's huge to have them there. And we know we want them there. But then we get the head coach who's coming up on this weekend, when you got schools hosting official visits, that's significant. So it's such a golden opportunity for these guys to have, you know, this stage. And, going back to Thomas Ford, we've got a couple of guys that are already committed to Idaho that are still coming in because they want to get that work in. They want to, work with their coaches. And for a lot of these guys, this is an opportunity to, spend time with those coaches that they've committed to. So, this is a good event. And I mentioned with Easton Tafa, I mean, here he is committed to USC. He's already played in the Polynesian Bowl. He's an All-American, and he wants to come out. And, he lost his father tragically to cancer last year. So I know this event meant a lot to him, and he wanted to just come and compete and support the event. And that's what's so cool about this event is that it's not just, for guys that look for offers. You got guys that are already committed to Power Five programs, and they just want to come back to get that work in, but also to support this event. So it's crazy. I remember when we first brainstormed about this event in 2022, when we said, hey, how do we feel about trying this event in 2023? And I think, I was very much the let's be realistic, guys. 250 is probably the most that we're gonna get. You guys all right, Huff, we're gonna get more than that. I'm like, it's first year. We'll see. 250 is probably a realistic number. And now here we are having to put a wait list midway through the week, which is a point to guys. Don't wait till the last minute. We announced this in January.
Yep.
Register early. I'm a
Yep.
plastic firstborn, so I'm the one that registration comes out. And shout out Tech Mwamba, wipe me down, boy. Tech was the first one to register, and
Go.
Tech was eager because he's been hurt all off season. He's finally making his way back. But be like Tech, guys. Register in advance so you don't cause us consternation.
That'd be a great shirt. Be like Tech. Let's get that made with that. And one thing to add to that too is we mentioned the emphasis of in this event. We push really hard to get schools from every level and to recruit kids from every level. Push hard to get the shot callers, the coordinators, the head coaches. The other thing we do that I know I have many sleepless nights leading up to this event, we work really hard to make sure that it's organized and kids are getting a lot of reps. As our numbers have gone up, we've worked really hard to make sure that we've added sessions and that in those sessions we format it so kids get lots of reps. But the other part to that is they also get reps that get seen. Just getting thrown on a field 10,000 yards away and getting a bunch of reps that no one's seeing doesn't matter. Kids are coming to this to get seen. It's a showcase event. So yes, there's a good amount of numbers, but you're going to see it's very organized on our end as far as the format is when kids are doing things that coaches can be in an area where they can turn and see all of them. We do the SAQ first so coaches can come in and see kids moving around, see their size. They have a number on their shirt. Coaches have a packet in numerical order so they can circle kids that stand out to them and then go watch them in individuals and group and one-on-one. So we do work hard on that. But you got to make sure when you're getting your reps, you make them count. This is not one of those days that you can come in, have a bad day and go, it was just a bad day, but I'll get it next time. It's like, no, this is why you do all the work in the weight room. You do all the work on the field so you can come and perform in an event like this. So you might have a bad rep, and that's okay. Coaches also are watching to see how you respond to a bad rep. They want to see how you respond to a good rep. They want to see how you are in lines. Are you letting guys cut? Are you cutting? Are you talking to coaches? Are you interacting? Everything is evaluated. So they don't expect you to be perfect, but they do expect you to come back and be a competitor, be coachable, and come
Guys,
back and improve and learn.
that's a good point. This isn't 7-on-7. So the shit talking needs to, and this is our podcast, so I can say what I want. It needs to not exist on Sunday because this is a job interview. All right. You're not going to go in there and act like a fool like you would maybe at some of these other events and expect that to impress coaches. This is not a me event. This is a we event. These coaches are looking to expand their roster and find a guy that's going to fit into the culture of their program. So leave the shenanigans at your house. Don't bring them with you. This is a good event for a great cause. And it's also not just for a great cause. It's for you guys to have a chance at your future. Okay. So don't ruin your future because you can't keep your mouth shut. Get on my soapbox moment.
No, it's good. And when you're going through the SAQ drills, you're going through the individuals, don't stop a rep short, sprint through the line, go hard. And one thing I'll say, and then we'll get back to talking to the kids is sometimes in these events, it seems like, okay, hey, all the coaches or most of the coaches are at this group watching this or at this area. And so kids are watching that and then they're not going as hard on their rep. And it blows my mind because I'm sitting there going, hey, over there that you're not seeing as a head coach watching you take your rep right now. Or hey, some of these coaches, they're older, they're not as young as they used to be. I've seen coaches go sit up in the stands to just get off their feet, but they're watching. So you just never know who is watching you and where. So when you're at this, when you've got a rep, make it count. I don't care if you don't think anybody's watching or if everyone's watching. It shouldn't change for you. Why would your rep change based on how many people are watching you or not? You should be going 100%, put your best foot forward and get it in. You only get so many reps in the day, so make them count. That's the big thing to me is forget all that. It's like going and playing, whether you're playing in front of 5,000 or 50,000, it doesn't matter. It's the same field dimension, same rules, same all of that. So go in, make your reps count. Don't worry about who's watching, who's not watching, because you never know who's watching and where they're at anyway. So speaking of
Well, and on that note, guys, you are going to get plenty of reps. There is one thing that I can be confident in is there is going to be plenty of reps to be given. We had linemen almost puking a couple of years ago, partly out of shape, but because they were getting so many reps. There's a lot of camps that you go to that, and to that point, I want to, talk about something just real quick. I know I'm supposed to be on a hard out. I'm pushing my appointment back. I was at a camp 4 years ago in the summer of 2021, and I watched a kid earn 6 offers at that camp because he took a bunch of reps. Okay, your parents aren't investing in you coming to this camp for you to stand in the back and just get a t-shirt. And I've said this a lot for like DBs. You always have a lot of receivers at camps. You don't have as many DBs. West Coast are afraid to play defense. This guy at 108-degree weather was taking a rep, would run off the field when the rep was done and run back right back on, just take rep after rep. And I saw him earn a half dozen offers, get a Power 5 offer, commit to a Power 5 school, and then he was starting in a playoff game this last year. So that's why it's competitive. It's competition. You're coming to this event for the competition, not just to tweet that you're going to the event. Don't mistake activity with achievement. You got to go and you got to achieve something, and that's to take as many reps as possible.
Yes, sir. That's what and this kind of stuff. What I like about this is, yes, we're talking about the kids in the backgrounds and getting that info, but these kind of nuggets. I mean, for everyone listening, Brandon goes and he's on the boards and he's on the calls and in the background with all of these major events. He's there watching them. He's seeing it. So that is a treasure trove of information. It's not gas him up. Like this is why he has the title he has. Why everybody wants him at their events. Why everyone wants him watching for that exact reason. So when he's saying these kind of things, man, if you're a parent listening to this, go emphasize that to your kid. If you're a coach listening to this, go emphasize that to the kids that you're bringing to this. That is invaluable information. And I highly suggest as someone who runs events and has conversations at the event and afterward, us as a group, we're in a thread and talking about all these things. We watch all of this stuff. We notice all of this stuff, good, bad, and indifferent. So, Frank, we wanted to bring you in on this a little bit. We talked about that offense and defensive line group. Are there any other kids in there that you wanted to mention, talk about, or do you want to be the first to talk about the next session kids?
I think for the most part, Trump's not gonna forget many. So like I said, he nailed that. Ryan, like I said, me and Ryan kind of go through the same thing, right? We talk about the same kind of kids. We understand kind of what that is. The only other one I would think maybe add on was Spencer Scapini. I think he just got a few offers. Montana and Portland State out here. That's the only other lineman I think right now that I think you guys maybe didn't hit on. But other than that, for the most part, yeah, I'm excited. Like this group is really one of the I think it was my favorite group to watch last year. Not just because of the numbers, but how hard they were working. Like Huff said, even in the rain, guys are taking tons of reps. They're getting out there, they're learning. But I did want to add on to that part what you guys talking about earlier is about these reps and don't just come ready to compete, come ready to learn too, because so many of those college coaches are out there and they're actually like helping. They're out there, they're very engaged in everything. And I literally had a college coach, a head coach, come up to me and ask me, "Hey, I want to see this guy at a rep. Can you have him go up and take a rep?" So it's just to add on to what you guys are saying, these coaches are really, really involved at this showcase and how much feedback we've got. And we really dial this in to where it's like, hey, we could open up to 1,000 people if we really want to, because that's the numbers that we're actually getting. But we've had hard conversations like, hey, no, we need to cap this because we want this experience to be everything it can be for these kids and for parents and these college coaches. How the feedback that we got from them. And so, like I said, everything we're doing is for a reason. Come ready to compete, come ready to learn. But no, as far as back to that lineman, now we're getting back to it. No, I think everything we hit that pretty well. You're not going to miss very much with Ryan and Huff on that.
And as I transition from the lineman to the next position, as we're talking about the big fellas, want to mention that we will have two food trucks there the entire day to make sure that everybody is eating well. We got Aloha all day, and then we got Kenzie's Kitchen. So you're going to have a ton of the good food options for all different palate types that'll be there. They get there early, they stay late, they never run out of food. Plan to come hungry and leave full because it is very, very good food. Let's hop into the running back, tight end, linebacker session. That's the middle part of the day, and that's a fun one too. You know, we get those groups coming in, and same thing. We go to SAQ, and then we go into individuals, and then bring them on some run toss drills, some tight end blocking drills, and then we do one-on-ones at the end. We also have some QBs that come in and are able to service those guys up. So it's a fun group. Huff, we'll start with you on this group as far as some of the headline names in that session in that group that you've seen signed up and know are coming.
Yeah, from the running back group, I'm really excited to see a couple of guys there. I would say what was intriguing about this event in terms of the running backs and the tight ends is that not many camps include a specific session for tight ends. Usually they're kind of smothered in with the receivers, and you're going up against DBs and corners. You're not always getting a fair gauge at a lot of the camps because you got a tight end who's going up against a corner who's a little faster, who maybe has better ball skills. But now you're going up against linebackers, and you're getting to see. We watched a kid who's now at an FCS national championship program get an offer in the tight end session a couple of years ago. That was Caden Stites. So we've got a couple of tight ends that I'm really eager to see. Ryan Brecky, who I love, I think this will be his third year at the camp out of Hawaii High School in Meridian, Idaho, top 5 player in Idaho. You got Seager Milholland, who's the number 2 player in the state of Oregon in 2027 at Central Catholic. Big, long, rangy tight end. And then you've got potentially the number 1 player in the state of Washington for 2028, regardless of position. That's Titan McNeil out of Eastside Catholic. He's already into double digits for offers. Everyone in the country is going to offer him and want him when it's all said and done. So those are a couple of the tight ends that I'm eager to see from the Northwest. And then Gus Bailey's coming up from Sacramento. Very excited to see him in person. And then on the linebacker side of things, Kawhi Chamberlain, who's a top 3 player in the state of Oregon out of Willamette High School. He's coming up in the 2027 class. Carson Fife, middle linebacker from Clayton Valley, is making the trip up. And then you got a couple of the younger guys. Chris Allo out of Roosevelt High School in Seattle, overcoming his coaching he got in 7-on-7 to play this camp. And then we've also got a guy that I think is going to be probably the most intriguing linebacker on Saturday or on Sunday, and that's Kason Carter out of Federal Way, who kind of fancies himself as a receiver. Reggie Jones, who was his coach for 7-on-7, said he put him at linebacker. I got a chance to see him this weekend at linebacker, and that is a Power 5 linebacker if I've ever seen one. I'm sorry, Power 4 linebacker if I've ever seen one. He's a 2028. He's a guy that I anticipate is going to leave with more offers than he comes with on Sunday. And then, from kind of another guy that I forgot to mention, Donnie Bircher out of Central Catholic as well, was a starter on a state championship team for the Rams, another player that I really like out of the state of Oregon.
Yeah, there's some.
Oh, I didn't even mention any of the running backs. I should probably touch on a couple of running backs. Carter Meeks out of Central Catholic in Modesto, who is an outstanding 2-way prospect. Feels like with running backs, feels like him at safety. He'll be there. And then Max Jones out of Bellevue High School. He will also be there. Was a starter for the Wolverines last year in the backfield. A couple of running backs to keep an eye on.
Clary, as Huff went through some of those names, that's the crazy thing. I mean, looking at the list, there are so many names. We could do a podcast for every individual session or every individual recruiting class. That's how deep this event is. But we've got this podcast, so trying to hit the names as many as we can in this time frame. Claire, you want to add on to that list that Huff went through? Any guys that you want to mention and any info on them?
Yeah, I think there's two people. One would be another 2028 linebacker goes to Lake Oswego, Presley DeLance. I remember seeing him a couple years ago when he was in eighth grade at 7-on-7 event, and you could just tell he was bigger, better than everybody else. So seeing how he's physically developed stuff, I think he'll do well. And then Micah Dickinson played at Anacortes, just won back-to-back state titles at tight end, recently got his first offer from Montana. I think he'll be a fun kid to watch just because he's a three-sport athlete, so no one's seen him this spring because he's playing basketball, baseball, all that. So I think it'll work out well for him.
Is Anacortes, that's where Luca Moore
Yep.
is too, right? And he's got a couple of those offers.
Yep. I think that team ended up having right now like four or five kids with Division One offers.
How about that? What a job coach has done up there at Anacortes with the kids individually, with the team, that program, and just a great community. Been a fun group to watch and follow. They remind me a lot of the group that we love, the Grind City program out of Moses Lake, and all of those kids coming out of there. Just really easy kids and families to root for, to have success individually and as a team and program. So. Any Clary, any other ones in that? Frank, you want to add on to that?
Did you guys mention? I don't know. Sorry, I missed. Did you guys mention Chris Allo
Oh yeah.
from Roosevelt? Yeah, and then other
You
ones.
missed my shade I was throwing at you guys too.
Yeah, and then Chamberlain. I'm not sure if did you mention Chamberlain as well. Sorry. Yep, that's it. Those are the main ones right there for me.
I think
Well, I'll add on to it with Chris. I'm going to mention Tila, his mom, because she's the goat. One of my favorite parents to deal with in this industry. So shout out to Tila, as she's getting more airtime than Chris. So Chris, you're going to have to talk with Tila about who gets more airtime on our podcast moving forward. So. Yeah, good group there, and there's a ton of other names we didn't mention, and there's a bunch of names that are a bunch of kids that are gonna be names after the event. That's what's fun too, is there's the kids the colleges know of coming into the event and that we know coming into the event. And then there's kids that, man, they're gonna emerge. They're gonna pop up, young or junior, senior, it doesn't matter. They're just gonna have a really good day. They're gonna pass the eye test, do their thing, and all of a sudden gain that attention. And we've seen kids get offers out of nowhere. We've seen kids start getting on all these different radars, and that's what's really fun about this event. All right, let's hop into the biggest of the sessions, the QB wide receiver DB. This is obviously the one where numbers are bigger, and you also have a lot of the big names, headliners. The QB position will start there. Huff, maybe let's do this to kind of break it up on this last session. Let's talk the QBs first. I'll go to you on some QBs that you're looking forward to seeing, some background on them. I know you mentioned one that we've got a head coach coming up specifically to see him. And then Clary, Frank, we can go to you guys on them, and then we'll come back and go through receivers and then DBs. But let's start on that quarterback group, Huff.
Yeah, so obviously the biggest draw is going to be the quarterbacks from a head coaching standpoint. Usually the head coaches, even if they're defensive guys, they a lot of times know that the quarterback is who kind of steers their ship. So they want to make sure they have that final look-see at a quarterback. So we've got a couple of these head coaches coming up specifically to watch the quarterbacks there. And two of the guys that are going to be drawing the biggest eyeballs are going to be the top quarterback in the state of Washington for 2027, Sione Cajo from Tacoma. And I believe Sione was one of the quarterback MVPs last year. And then we have AJ Tuivasa, who is at Graham Kapowson, who was the SPSL Offensive Player of the Year as a freshman. And he was at this event last year as an eighth grader, coming into ninth grade, if I remember right. I know he was at a couple events last year as an eighth grader, going into ninth grade. But I know those two guys are going to draw a lot of eyes from the state. And then another name to keep an eye on is Ben Odom, who just moved up here from the Southwest. He's going to be playing at Skyline High School in Sammamish. They've had a decent little quarterback history themselves.
Yeah.
But Ben's dad, Brian, is the linebackers coach at University of Washington. So he's coming up with his dad to play at Skyline. He's already got a handful of offers as well. So I'm eager to see him. This will be my first time to get a chance to see him since he's moved to the Northwest. So those are some of the in-state guys that I'm really looking forward to seeing. And then from out of state, Ashton Pinnell out of Loyola High School. I'm sorry, no, he's at Millikan High School. He was at Loyola out of Millikan High School in Long Beach. He'll be coming up. Trevor Tomapau, who we saw.
Yeah.
It,
LA,
yeah, that was in LA.
out at the beach.
We saw the Battle of the Beach coming up from San Diego. He'll be here. And then from Idaho, Jacob Flowers won a state championship at Rigby High School last year. He's the number one quarterback in the state of Idaho in 2026. He'll be there. Cade Mitchell, who's the number one quarterback in the state of Oregon out of Mountainside High School. He's coming up. Already got an offer from New Mexico. They've got him coming in for an official visit. So Jason Eck, the head coach of New Mexico, will get a chance to see him. And then you've also got Brody Rednicki, who's kind of in an interesting situation at Folsom High School in that he is nearing double-digit offers and he's never started a varsity game. That's because he's the backup to the number one player in the state of California, Ryder Lyons. And Washington has had themselves a quarterback who's a four-year starter out of Folsom High School in Jake Browning. Alabama's got a quarterback right now from Folsom High School in Austin Mack, who Ryder Lyons took over for. So there's a good history there of quarterbacks, and Brody's the next in line, just having to wait his turn there. So he'll be coming up, 2027 quarterback. And then a kid from my hometown out of Ventura, even though he plays at St. Bonaventure, the private school, but Jackson Carper, 2028 quarterback, where he's got a couple of offers, got his first offer from Texas Tech. And TB, wasn't there an Avery Sean camp where Texas Tech offered a quarterback from California who turned out okay?
Yeah, yeah. Some kid named Bryce. He won a Heisman. I forget what his last name. Bryce Young, maybe that is something like that. But yeah, got his first offer as a eighth grader incoming freshman at that camp. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's a
So he's the guy that I would say, the 2028 from out of state is definitely one to keep an eye on as well. And then I know there's a couple of other in-state guys that Ryan and Frank want to touch on.
Yeah, so I think one of the kids that ended up doing pretty well is Oliver Sutterberg, goes to Glacier Peak High School. He's a 2028, 6'3", 190 pounds. Another kid, Max Mitchell, not from the state of Washington. He's actually from California. His brother, I believe, the first year was one of the
Last year.
Avery Strong, last year, sorry, was this Avery Strong MVP, ended up signing to Vanderbilt, I believe it is.
wait,
And
is this Mikey's younger brother?
It
yeah,
is,
Let's go. Another Mitchell coming through the pipeline, huh?
sir.
I love
And
it.
then one other I'll touch on is Nate Donovan. Got an early offer from Nevada. Won a state title last year as the starting quarterback at Sumner and is looking to go back to back.
Frank, anybody you want to talk on around?
Now they got that covered. Quarterbacks are covered. It's going to be a fun group to watch. I'm excited for it.
Does anyone ever remember that you got to be old, like I think Huff and I, the movie Major League, Harry was it Euchre where
Yeah.
he had his number two in the booth. Frank, you're giving off those number two vibes.
Hey, I'll take it. Hey, these
Yeah.
these two are the gurus at this, man. That's why it's
That's
fun
right.
just learning from them, hearing from them, but working with them, and just being able to see kind of what they see, what they do. It's awesome. I love it.
Frank, you're the eye candy. You know what I mean? Like that's wear that proudly, my guy. You come
I
in,
just
you are the eye candy.
I just look for the food. That's all I care about.
That's my role. I mentioned the food truck. That was one of the first things.
Good.
I haven't talked about a kid, but I talked about two food trucks. All right, so let's hop into the receivers. This is another really loaded group, lots of talent, in state, out of state. Huff, the receiver group. I know there's some good seniors, some good underclassmen. We've got a bunch of kids coming from Georgia, California, Hawaii, Nevada, all over the place. Talk about some of the receivers that pop out to you on the sign-in sheet.
Yeah, I'm going to actually start off with a guy that you and I saw when he was going into eighth grade. And, I'm rocking the Avery Sean College Showcase, but the first college showcase that we did in a post-COVID era was in the summer of 2021 in Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah.
And, if you've never been to Alaska in the summer, that is a trip. To land at 11 o'clock at night like we did, and it's still sunglass weather.
Sunny. Yeah.
But there was a seventh grader who was about to be an eighth grader named Landon Drum, who was our receiver MVP. And I saw him 3 weeks ago at the Under Armour camp in Utah. He's the number two player in the state of Alaska. I am confident that Landon's going to leave this camp on Saturday, it's on Sunday. He's going to leave this camp on Sunday with offers. And you got a cool backstory and connection to Landon.
Yeah, Brandon, his father and I were in the same recruiting class at University of Colorado. And Brandon was from Alaska. And I remember our recruiting class, you have the typical Texas and Southern Cal guys. And then we had this guy out of Alaska, and we're like, what is this dude about? And he came in and he was just a great athlete. Big, strong, fast, could have been linebacker, fullback, could have been a lot of different positions and was great at all of them. And it's easy to see how Landon picked up the bloodlines and is super talented. And we've seen it from a very young age. I love now that he's one of the older guys and garnering a lot of attention. And I agree with you. I think this camp is going to be kind of a turning point for him in his recruiting process of him down the road looking back, saying it was then that things really changed in the recruiting landscape for him.
So if you're coming to the event when you're in middle school and you come 4 years later when you're going to be a senior, you get to be the first one mentioned because you get
There
the
you go.
achievement award. But no, the kid can flat out play, tremendous bloodlines, and we watched him at the underclass or at the UC Report Under Armour camp. We were kind of saying he kind of gave off some Gatling Bear vibes and actually tested really well. It's just not easy for guys to get up to Alaska. And we'll talk about some of the Alaska guys a little bit later too. But Landon's a guy I definitely wanted to shout out because I'm very confident that he's going to get some eyes on him. Jackson Fay is a speedy receiver. We saw him down at Battle of the Beach as well, playing with 209 Elite with our guy Roy. He'll be coming up. He's been like a 10-6 100-meter runner himself. You got Carter Williams, who I also saw at the same Under Armour event in Salt Lake City at St. Mary's, and another guy. He was the MVP at the first Battle of the Bay event that
Oh,
Station did when he was an eighth grader a couple of years ago, winning the eighth grade division and grown man. I mean, he was fantastic out at Under Armour. Rob Larson out of Folsom High School was a starter for them as a sophomore, one of Ryder Lyons' top receiver targets. He's making the trip up from Salt Lake City West, Monson Vanuku, who I saw at the Polynesian Combine and at Under Armour 2028 as well, that I'm really excited to see come out. Shout out Ateka Mwamba again for being the first one, but what a great kid, just a fantastic kid, and kid that you root for. And he's all the way back, missed his junior season with a knee injury. He looked good at Under Armour. He's ready to show what he can do. He's one of the local kids that I wanted to see. Again, just to see him healthy. Derek Farmer is another big, speedy kid from the state of Oregon making the trek up. And then, locally, Tristan Baker. I mentioned an Idaho commit. He's coming in out of Lakes High School. He'll be getting to work out in front of his head coach, Thomas Ford, his future head coach. And then you've got Braylon Pope, who is a top five player in the state of Washington in 2027, was a part of their state championship team at Sumner High School. Asa Thompson, who's been a top 10 player in the state out of Eastside Catholic, they're coming in. And then I know and then another name to keep an eye on, speaking of younger brothers, also at Archbishop Reardon, Israel Lawson, who's a 2028, already got an offer from Sacramento State. His brother, Chris Lawson,
Chris Lawson.
yeah,
Yeah.
played in the association at a number of events for Elevate.
Yep.
Israel is a 2028. Chris is now at University of Washington, but Israel's the next one to watch. And then there's a bunch of local guys that Ryan and Frank are going to touch on.
Yeah, so I'll start with Max Cook. He's a 2028 at Lake Stevens. I believe he holds the top 300-meter time in the state for freshman class. Jacob Ford just recently went 10-7 and picked up his first offer from Mississippi Valley. A kid I think that could leave with his first offer from Malik Burns, goes to Spanaway Lake. He's a 2027. And then finally, 2028 kid who already holds an early Oregon State offer is Caden Weaver.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on just a few. I think Seth Price over from Lake Stevens, 2027. I think he's that kid. I watched him this offseason with us on 7 on 7. Kid's lightning, man. I think he has a good opportunity to come back, lead with a few. I know we're gonna Luca Moore. You talked about him, the Idaho commit. I think he's gonna do great things there. Mo Williams. I think did you talk about him? I think he's going to be there. He's I think will be one of the top recruits actually out there. A couple other ones. Jordan Noel at Candy Catholic has a offer right now. And then I think one I really liked, a really intriguing offer to me is or a person to me is Woodland from Puyallup. He was over. We were out just watched him at the Rise 7 on 7s of,
Yep.
and didn't he win MVP? If I
Won
if I'm correct.
MVP. Yep.
So I think he's going to be another a tricky one. And like I said, another one we all know, four-star Jack Seaver's little brother Cole Seavers, freshman 2028 out of Archbishop Murphy High School. He's going to be another name to watch for.
We got a little Seaver coming through, huh?
Little guy coming, yeah, yeah,
Let's
hell of a
go.
cross player too.
He will be better than Jack.
You think
Oh
so?
dang.
And then I'll talk about some of the out of state DBs coming up. We've got quite a crew coming from California, all that are playing. A couple of them are playing in the Trinity League, which is a decent little league for football. You got Karan Williams out of Santa Margarita. Fun fact: Santa Margarita is the only school in college in high school football that's produced a Heisman Trophy winner, an Outland Trophy winner, and a Walter Payton Award winner, which is for the best FCS player at the old in the old days called it 1AA. And they also have a Heisman Trophy winner as their head coach. Carson Palmer is now back. But hey, somebody on this call actually beat Carson Palmer head to head in a football game. It wasn't me. It wasn't Ryan. It wasn't Frank.
Let's
TV,
go.
take that quick trip down memory lane just for the fans to know that you could play a little football back in the day.
Yeah, and it wasn't at O line like people think when they see me nowadays. Yeah, Carson, but actually, funny you say Santa Margarita. I went down my senior year. His best receiver, Carson and I were the same year in high school. He was Santa Margarita. John Minardi was his top receiver, and John and I ended up being roommates at Colorado. So I'd gone down and got to know Carson on the beginning of the circuit. The Elite 11, the very first year was the Reebok Combine. And so Carson and I were in events together, and then yeah, ended up in college when I was at Washington. He's USC, and played against each other head to head, and I'm 1-0 against Carson. Now I'm 1-0, came off the bench, beat him, did all that. That's my claim to fame. He ends up being a Heisman number one pick, tens of millions. So I think it worked out a little better for him, but I'm that guy at the local, bar down the road, just telling that story 10 million times. I walk in there and was like, this guy again, this freaking Carson Palmer story. But I got it, baby. I got
Isn't your avatar on your Twitter profile
it.
from that game?
Yes, I am that dude. I just there's no shame in my game, folks. Just understand with me that the pride's out the window. There is no shame in my game. So you're not gonna embarrass me. I own it. I wear it with a badge of pride.
As you should. Karan Williams, though, you might hear a little story or two to take back to your coach. Isaiah Glover is coming up from Sacred Heart Cathedral in San Francisco. Love this kid. Not the biggest kid in the world, 2028, but when I saw him at Under Armour, this kid was scrappy. And he will get in there and he will mix it up. Just one of those guys that, if you're a receiver, he annoys you because you think
Hmm.
you'll be able to have this matchup nightmare against him, being that you're bigger, but he will stick in your craw the entire time. I just love the energy that he brings. Mikel Ramos out of Mater Dei will be coming up. Jalen Flowers, who plays at Palos Verdes High School. He's coming up from Southern California. And then Caden Steptoe, who actually played in Seattle this last year. I believe he's headed to Texas
Yeah.
to play this next season. Had moved up here from Arizona. His dad, Syndic Steptoe, played at Arizona, is on staff at the University of Washington. But Caden will be coming as well. So some of the out-of-state guys to keep an eye on in the secondary.
Yeah, and Clary, we'll go to you real quick, but I wanted to give a shout out to Tim Williams down in Southern California, coaches Flightline 7 on the Young Star team. Has been involved with, TOA Premium and just really liked and respected down there. A young guy, up and coming name that's really burgeoning on the scene, and he's bringing up that group. And excited to see him up here, have his group represent. So always want to support the people supporting us in the event. So shout out to Tim Williams and that crew. Excited to see him up here. Clary, go ahead and hit the DBs you want to talk on.
Yeah, a couple guys that say one would be Jace Hollis. I know he likes to play receiver. He's a good receiver, but I think he's an even better safety prospect.
He
Uh,
just picked up an offer too, right?
yeah, a couple. He just got Sac State and Nevada. Another person, Mason Miller. I believe he goes to Lusinger. I believe that's how you say it. He recently just picked up a New Mexico offer. Speaking of Idaho commits, Jerry Allen III, recently committed to Idaho. He'll be up working out. And then I'd say one other person would be Evan Westig. He's down in Oregon. Or not recently, but he picked up an offer from Portland State.
Yeah, good crew there. And we mentioned, AJ at that QB spot, Graham Capelson, and that war program. We mentioned Rob Mason coaching that, Mike Westbrook with Rise, and that's kind of a surrogate of them. But Jace and Musa, that whole group, there's a lot of talent in there. Musa's another guy that just got a couple offers as well. So fun to see those kids get in there and compete. We've seen them dominate the 7-on circuit. Now they get to go show it in front of a bunch of colleges and media on a really big stage at this event. Eye candy, we're to you. That's going to be his new Twitter handle. Eye candy.
Well, it's funny because like a lot of these guys, could play both ways. Some are like on receivers, some are on the DB. So it's actually cool to be able to see some of them. Like I know some like Isaiah Dawkins played receiver for us. We actually played him at safety as well. From Gonzaga Prep, 6'4", just got a couple offers himself. Same thing with another one, Alex Peabody from Rogers over in Spokane on the east side. He as well played is one hell of a receiver, but also can get back there and play some safety. So seeing quite a bit, it's going to be awesome. I think some of these kids will be able to be out there playing receiver, but I think honestly some coaches might be like, hey, I might want to see you as safety or
Yeah.
DB just line up and see how you do. So I'm like I said, I'm excited to see like all these kids out here just compete.
And that's one of the things, fellas, we've kind of talked about the strategy of these things. I think for some kids, it's like, look, yes, you like playing receiver best, and that's what you think you're best at. But what if this school doesn't have any more offers left at receiver, but does at DB or safety? Wouldn't it behoove you to maybe go get some reps at DB? And the coaches know, hey, you haven't been doing this a ton as a DB, but they can just see the athletic ability. They can see the quickness, the burst, and just see the potential and say, hey, okay, and maybe he's not, going to be a DB for us, but maybe we could put a few pounds on him and bring him down into the box and have him as a linebacker. These coaches, they think outside the box and they see players that everyone else saw as this position and they sign him as this, and he goes on and ends up being an All-American and going to the NFL. So I just think for kids coming to this event, be open-minded. If you see that one line is really deeper receivers and then there's, only a handful of DBs in their gaps, man, go hop in that line, go get reps. What are we doing? Like, I just feel like we've gotten away from some of the like just play and be a competitor and be a ball player and just love the sport and quit being a specialist, and being on a pitch count and all that kind of stuff. I get some of that, but I just think an event like this, man, you want to stand out in a good way. To these coaches, man, just go be a dog. Just go be a competitor. Just go be someone, hey, and you get beat, smile, and get back in line and just go compete again. Let these guys see that's what you're about. And I promise you, it will tilt the scales in your favor. I promise you that.
And I literally said earlier, I watched a guy get a half dozen offers by just being willing to play DB at a camp. And, we talked to Kason Carter the other day, and he's got offers as a receiver. We told him, come as a linebacker because there's going to be a lot of receivers there. There may not be many linebackers, but your body type may be better suited to play defense. And you could come on Sunday, you could see your recruitment explode if you do. And that's the thing with, Travis Hunter kind of screwed it up for a lot of people because now every kid thinks he's going to be Travis Hunter. Guys, the last time we had a player who was that impactful on both sides of the ball was 11 years ago when Miles Jack was doing that. All right. Yeah, we had Adoree Jackson do a little bit of receiver, Shaq Thompson do a little receiver, but nobody impacted the game on both sides like Miles Jack before Travis Hunter. Those are unicorns. Okay. Those don't exist. So yeah, coach is going to tell you, I've been doing recruiting for 23 years now. I can't tell you how many times kids are telling me, oh yeah, USC said they're going to use me like Reggie Bush. Of course they're going to tell you that because they want to get you to sign. All right. Most coaches are fixing to take you for one side of the ball. And sometimes your best side of the ball might not be the side that you love the most. It might be the side that you hate, but that's where your better long-term potential might be. And so if you're going into a job interview, you want the job that's going to pay you well, take care of you the most. This Sunday should be like that. This might not be the position that I'm the best at right now, but I might have the most long-term upside in. I should be open to doing that. And shout out Kason Carter for accepting that as a freshman and saying, hey, yeah, that actually sounds good. I kind of like the idea of maybe getting a lot of offers as a linebacker.
Yeah, I love that. That's why just be smart, be humble, be open-minded, and especially guys, you have someone like Brandon Huffman giving you some advice. You think that's not coming from a place of knowledge? like he's seen it, he understands it. Same with Frank Leary and a few other people. I just think be smart, be a sponge, soak it all up, be a student of the game, be a competitor, get in there, have fun, compete. All stars in baseball at the plate succeed 3 out of 10 times. They bat 300 and they're an all-star. So in this, you're going to get beat on reps, whether you're an O lineman, D lineman, DB, quarterback, you're going to miss it. I don't need a quarterback to miss a pass and then look at his hands and let him know it was slippy. The ball was wet. It was slippery. I know that. It was raining, dude. It's wet. So it is for all the other QBs too. How about you just get back in line and just complete the next pass? We
What
don't
was
need
it
all the antics.
that Craig goodness, what's his name? Kenny Mayne used to say, "A good craftsman never blames his tools." It
Hmm.
wasn't your hand's fault. It was your fault. You dropped the
Yeah, and that's okay because you know what? I've thrown a ball that slipped out of my hands and went up in there against Carson. You mentioned that SC game. I had a ball. It was my center, sweated all over it. But I go to throw it and it just goes up in the air and comes down. I mean, like we've had that. We all understand. Coaches have played. Just get in there and compete. So not trying to harp in a negative way. We're all on the side of the kids at this event. I want to see all of you get offers and tons of offers and have a great day. But a great day doesn't mean you have a perfect day. No one's going to have a perfect day. You're going to have some things that are off. That's part of the evaluation process. So, couple groups I want to just give a quick shout out to. We mentioned Tim Williams bringing that SoCal group. We got Frank bringing that group from Georgia. Love that. He was down at the Olu group our first year, brought up TJ Latif and that whole crew, Nico Bland and them. Now he's bringing a group of Georgia kids. I think 5 kids out of Georgia, all with FBS offers already. So excited to see them. The Alaska group we mentioned, Landon Drum and that group coming. You got Gabe Taylor, who is kind of the godfather for Alaska football, and then you got Mike Hinton, that's a trainer, bringing the group out. So shout out to those guys and what they've done to change the
Hey, do we even
dynamics.
talk about Deuce?
Did not talk about Deuce. You talked about Landon being the number 2 player, but go ahead and talk about the number 1 player in Alaska.
Yeah, another player. I mean, we're going to start to call Taylor like the Chamber of Commerce of Alaska because his dad, you also played with at the
Yeah.
University of Washington. Deuce is the number 1 player in the state of Alaska in the 2026 class. And again, we talk about how this event can change your life. Deuce came to the event last year, I think, with only an FCS offer. And he left with his first FBS offer after the camp. And Washington State was who offered him at the camp last year. And now Wake Forest continues to recruit him. Pete Caligas, another guy that you had some
Yeah.
with at Washington, who I believe coached his dad at Washington, was at the Washington State staff, and now he's at Wake Forest with Jake Dicker. But Deuce came last year and got a bunch of offers, and since then he's got official visits set up with Boise State and Boston College in the next couple of weeks. Again, Boise State's really good at finding kind of obscure guys that aren't necessarily from the biggest place, but Boston College, they've got an NFL head coach in Bill O'Brien. And he went all the way to the Great White North to look for a defensive lineman. They're getting him in for a visit. Him and Prin Fox. It's kind of funny. Both those guys were at the camp last year, and both those guys, top 2 schools right now, are Boston College and Boise State. And one is from Alaska, the other is from Kashmir, Washington. Again, not a real kind of haven for a lot of elite dudes, but we'll have both those guys there. And Deuce coming down from Alaska as the number 1 player.
Yeah, and it's cool. I remember us going up and doing that event in Alaska, and we had talked to Gabe, and he was trying to get Alaska on the scene, and said, "Look, we'll come out and do this, and got to get some kids to pop." And we had Hampton was the kid I remember looking at that we
Yep.
were saying, "Hey, he's an 8th grader. He could be the guy," and ended up, and
Scholarship to
now you
Cal.
yeah, exactly. And so now you see this kind of pipeline, and that's how you get the momentum going. So for people out there wanting to get the area popping and more notoriety, there's ways to go about it strategically and do it the right way. And Gabe Taylor was the guy that did that. And now you're seeing the result of what's coming behind him and how the kids now have that path carved for them and don't even, know how hard it was for kids in the generations before them. So that's a cool thing about progress in this. 2 other guys to give a shout out to: Stu Toa, Paula out of Utah. They were have been in our tournaments the last couple of years in the 7-on-7 circuit, bringing some kids out. This year and last year, love having the support from people. And then Gaius Mathis, Huff, this is your dude, and I know he has kids coming from Texas and Cali and some other areas. And I know you go back in the day with him, but definitely somebody that's been very active in this event in promoting it and supporting it and helping get kids there. And he's got a really good list of kids that are coming, very talented, excited to see them. Wanted to give him a shout out, but wanted to maybe let you just give him personally a shout out too, because I know that's your guy.
Yeah, my guy, I grew up with him since we were in third grade, played high school ball with him. Still probably the best athlete I ever played high school sports with. And that includes one of my good friends and teammates who actually signed with Northwestern, got drafted in the third round by the Pirates, and then ended up playing at Cal a few years later. Dwayne was that good of a player. We ended up playing, signed with the University of Hawaii out of high school, went to West Texas A&M, and then set up stakes in Texas. And so he's bringing a group of players up from Texas. He's also got some guys coming from the 805 in Ventura, God's country, coming up as well. And again, it just kind of shows the national reach. This was a camp that he was putting out to get those kids up, and now they've got an opportunity to get recruited by schools on the West Coast that maybe they wouldn't if they were down and staying at a camp in Texas.
Yeah, I love it. And I'll end with that. That was the big thing is this is not a Northwest event. It is an event being run in the Northwest, but this is an event. Last year we had kids from 36 different states coming, plus multiple countries. We had that group from Europe come out. So this year when you see it, same thing. We're seeing kids coming out, and we've got kids coming from Delaware and Florida and Mississippi and Georgia and Hawaii and everywhere in between, and very talented ones. So this is a national event. We're drawing in more colleges, more college head coaches, all the different levels, and it'll continue to draw more and more with another good year. And this is going to be a fun year. And I'll finish with this and then
Wait,
let you
hold
go.
up. I got to squeeze in here because we just got the updated roster from Nick. Shout out Nick, who does all the behind the scenes stuff on the website. A couple of names that I wanted to make sure we mention because they're significant players that are coming out on Sunday. We got Josiah Denmark, who is a top 10 player in the state of Washington, the 2027, or sorry, 2026 class out of Puyallup. He is now registered to come. We've also got uh, I cannot talk right now. We got him coming up. We've got Rice Palapoi, who's coming out from the state of Utah, another kid quarterback who plays at Brighton High School in Salt Lake City. If you've ever been out to Utah and you've been to the Brighton campus, it has got one of the most incredible views you will ever see with the Wasatch Mountains. His dad is a former professional player, is a big time defensive line and offensive line trainer in the state of Utah. But Rice is making his bones on the offensive side as a quarterback. So both those guys are coming as well. Excited to see both of them there. But I wanted to make sure that I mentioned Josiah Denmark, who I think he was an MVP last year,
Yes.
one of the
Yes.
DVPs last year. And I believe this is third year coming to the event as well. Picked up a couple offers, early on in his career at this event. So a couple of other guys that were late additions that got past waiting for the last. Actually, they got in on time. We just didn't get the updated roster.
But that's how this goes, and that's what I'm trying to explain to people. When you talk about this event, that's what it is. Every time we check the new signups, it's like, whoa, this like each of these kids would be a headliner
Mhm.
at any event, and it's just ka-ching, 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 just these kids coming, and it's like, man, this kid got these offers. This kid has these star rankings. This kid has been MVP at these different events. That is the talent that's going to be at this. So if you're a kid that is one of the top kids, you're going to come and go against other top kids and show you're the alpha. And if you're a kid that doesn't have the notoriety, you're being slept on or under the radar, whatever you want to say, well, now come and perform against these guys, and I assure you it's going to be noticed. You ball against this list of kids, you're going to be noticed 100%. So either when you're in, unless you're one of those guys that thinks you're high profile, maybe has some rankings or some offers, but goes and gets exposed too. But usually those are the guys that aren't coming, or the guys that are, have excuses for things, that don't really want that smoke. Because the guys that want the smoke, they're coming to this because they know what it's about and they know what it can do. And even if you have offers, even if you have these other things, man, if I'm that dude, then I just want to go and show everybody. I don't even care. I don't need more offers. I just want to show everyone I'm the best. I'm the best at this position. I'm the best in this area. I'm the best on this coast. I'm the best in this country. That's that mindset. And you bring that's what the college coaches are going to see, I assure you, and the media as well. So last thing from me is the name and the cause of what we're talking about. And this is a big one. Every year we do a check presentation to Brandon and his family. Avery Strong. Avery was Brandon's daughter. Got diagnosed years ago with a 100% fatal form of brain tumor called DIPG. Terrible thing. And they started a foundation in her name. She ended up passing away. And wanted to raise funds for her foundation, wanted to do everything they could to keep her name and legacy alive. And every kid in the camp, every year that we do it, has the Avery Strong name. We'll have branding up with tents and feather flags. Really cool thing. And then money going to the foundation. And as we do this, it's a thing very close to the heart for all of us on this call. As Brandon's a friend, and then also someone that is a father of a young girl. Breaks my heart seeing the situation that they had to go through. Amazingly strong family to see the resilience of them coming together and what they did through it all. But the cool thing now is the impact that it can have on so many kids' lives and what they've been able to do to help other kids and families going through that. So being part of this is helping to support it, helping to someday find a cure for it, and even if not a cure, to better the lives of the kids and families having to go through it, which I know is something for Brandon and Amanda and their family that means a lot. And if it means a lot to them, it means a lot to us. So that event or this event, that's what it is. And so when Brandon talks about the shenanigans of kids yelling and fighting and all of this, like just remember that you're coming to do, to help your cause in recruiting, but you're also representing this name and brand that is something bigger, and you're part of that. So help to raise and elevate that, not to be a stain on it. So parents listening to this, coaches listening to this, kids listening to that, I please, I hope you take that to heart, because that is as true as it gets from us of what this is really about. We've supported this foundation in all that we do and always will, because it is something that's very passionate to us. And as we do this, understand people that support it, what that means to us, and people that would do something to put a blemish on it, we would feel the same way going the other direction. So just wanted to put that out there, Huff. I don't know if you wanted to mention anything else on top of that, but we'll wrap it up. I'll give you the floor to finish out.
I mean, you said it best. It's obviously an event that's near and dear to my heart. Avery got diagnosed by uh, doctors at Mary Ridge Hospital in Tacoma, which is less than 5 minutes away from UPS. So it's always been kind of a full circle moment that this event is done in her honor. And mere miles away from where her life was forever altered and our life was forever changed. And so it just means the world to us to see guys going up there with their Avery Strong shirts and to see the branding, and how many college coaches are saying, hey, we want to come up just because we want to support this event. And yeah, they want to come and recruit, but it's also what the event means to them. And so I'm excited. I'm thrilled with the growth. I mean, thrilled is an understatement. But I'm a man of very few words, as you guys can tell on this podcast. So it doesn't take a lot to keep me, doesn't take a lot to shut me up. Or sorry, no, it doesn't take a lot to get me going, but I'm going to shut up right now because this always does tug at the heartstrings.
Yep, yep, it does. Clary, Frank, anything for you guys to add?
No, I just think we everybody appreciates what Brandon does, and I think this is the least we can do to show our appreciation.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, like, when all came together to talk about this, and when we were coming up with the showcase and how we want to do it, it's like it was a no-brainer for us. I know me and Ryan talked quite a bit about it. And it was like how much he does the selfless acts, and like he doesn't ask for anything in return, just always is, helping the kids, helping our region. And that's what I'm saying, is just for us to be able to be a part of it. It's something special. Honoring her name is huge for us. And like I even mentioned to him yesterday, Huff, when you gone, when you move out, man, if you need anything back here, her burial site, everything, man, just hit us up. We'll be glad to go clean it, go help, go do whatever we want to do. So like what he does behind the scenes that people don't get to see is far beyond anything that we could even be thankful for. So like being able to help with this, the small part that we do, it's an honor, and I appreciate everything you do for us, Huff.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, and it's real and it's genuine, and that's something that um, is so awesome because every year more and more people kind of get on board with it, and it's just a really cool thing to see when you're getting all the right people doing it for all the right reasons, and that's about the kids. That's about the memory, the legacy, and I think a lot of times we put things into boxes and it's like it's binary, it's this or that, and it's like no, people can have work and have personal causes, and actually you can put them together, and it makes it bigger and better if it's done the right way, and that's what we really strive to do, and we're going to continue to do, and that's why we take it so seriously to make sure that on this event that every kid is that is getting reps. I'll walk through lines throughout the day. Hey, anyone that hasn't gotten a rep, get up to the front, raise your hand. It like those things, they matter to us because of the name that is attached to this, that none of us are going to allow an event like this to have any kind of blemish on it for those reasons. So it's the attention to detail that we really put in to make it that experience because of what it is repping, and being able to emphasize that to people so they really understand, because we don't talk about it as much, I think, as maybe we should, because we just go do it. Like Brandon said, we're just kind of we just it's actions, just go do it. But for people to really understand why we're doing it, what it means, and it helps them to understand why we do things the way we do, and why those little things matter so much. So again, appreciate everybody tuning into this. Going to be an awesome event, an awesome vibe. Come on out. Going to be great food, great music, great talent, lots of coaches there, a great cause. Just going to be a lot of fun vibes, a great atmosphere. So thank everybody for their support. Any questions on anything, you can hit us up on our social media accounts. Go follow everything that we're doing. We'll have videographers out there, photographers. So we'll be putting a ton of content out there. Should be a lot of fun. Look forward to seeing everybody on Sunday.